Do things that change your life. I was lucky. I learned early that life doesn't just happen to you, you shape it. And the difference between people who create incredible lives and those who don't, it often comes down to just two things. These two things are so powerful that once you truly understand them, everything changes. Your career, your relationships, your happiness. Most people never see it. Some realize it too late. But if you get this now, it will redefine your future. Today, I want to share these two things with you because once I did, my life was never the same. I want to tell you a story about how life changes and how the smallest decisions, the tiniest shifts in thinking can redefine everything. When I was younger, I used to believe that life was about reacting to the world, that things happened and you responded. That success, happiness, fulfillment, they were all about being in the right place at the right time. But I was wrong. One day, I realized something. I realized that life doesn't happen to us, we happen to life. The way we think, the way we act, the choices we make, they shape everything. Some people go through life waiting for change. Others create it. And the difference between them comes down to just two things. The first time this really hit me was when I dropped out of college. On paper, it was a disaster. I had no plan, no money, no certainty. But what I did have was freedom. The freedom to think for myself. The freedom to explore, to make mistakes, to learn not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And that changed everything. Most people don't realize this, but the moment you take control of your own mind, you take control of your future. The world will try to tell you what success looks like. It will give you a roadmap. Go to school, get a job, work hard, retire. But if you look closely, you'll realize something. Every person who has ever truly changed the world ignored that roadmap. They created their own. Think about it. The people who built the future, Einstein, Gandhi, Picasso, Musk, Bezos, they didn't follow someone else's blueprint. They didn't wait for permission. They saw things differently. They acted differently. And because of that, they lived differently. When we started Apple, we had no money, no experience, no guarantees. We worked out of a garage. We built computers that at the time, nobody thought they needed. But we believed in something. We believed that technology wasn't about circuits and wires. It was about people. It was about giving people tools to express themselves, to think differently, to create. Most people thought we were crazy. IBM was the king. Computers were big, industrial, and meant for business. The idea that a computer could be personal, that it could sit on a desk, that it could be something people actually loved, nobody saw that, but we did. And that belief changed everything. Here's the truth. Every great change starts with a shift in perspective. If you believe that life is happening to you, you will always be waiting. But if you believe that you have the power to shape it, you will act, you will create, you will make things happen. And that brings me to the first thing that changes your life, the power of decisions. Every decision you make is a vote for the future you want. Most people don't realize this, but you are deciding your life right now, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Think about it. The books you read, the people you spend time with, the risks you take, these small choices compound. They shape who you become. When you decide to take a chance, to step outside of what's comfortable, to challenge yourself, that's when things change. I remember when we launched the first Macintosh. It was unlike anything the world had seen. A graphical interface, a mouse, a design that was simple, beautiful, almost artistic. It was a risk. But it was a risk based on belief. We believed that computers weren't just tools. They were extensions of creativity, and that belief paid off. The Macintosh changed computing forever. It set the foundation for everything we use today. Smart tablets, even the way we interact with technology. But here's the thing, that moment, that revolution, it didn't happen by accident. It happened because we made a decision to think differently. Every breakthrough, every success, every innovation, it starts with a choice. a choice to believe in something bigger than yourself, a choice to take a risk when everyone else is playing it safe, a choice to trust your vision when nobody else sees it yet. The problem is, most people never make that choice. They wait, they hesitate, they tell themselves they're not ready. But let me tell you something, you will never feel ready. The stars will never align perfectly, the perfect moment will never come, you just have to decide. I learned this the hard way. When I was forced out of Apple, it was one of the most painful experiences of my life. Imagine building something from nothing, pouring your heart and soul into it, only to have it taken away. I was devastated. But looking back, I realized something. That moment, as painful as it was, gave me a choice. I could give up. I could stay bitter, angry, stuck in the past, or I could reinvent myself. And that's exactly what I did. I started over. I built Next. I built Pixar. And in that process, I rediscovered something, the joy of creating, the excitement of building something new. And eventually, that journey led me back to Apple, stronger, wiser, more determined than ever. Life will always give you reasons to stop, to settle, to accept less than what you're capable of. But the people who change the world are the ones who refuse. They are the ones who decide, no matter what, to keep going. I want you to think about something. What's one decision you've been putting off? One step you know you need to take, but haven't? What would happen if, instead of waiting, you just did it? Because here's the truth, the future isn't written, it's built, one decision at a time. When I was a kid, I loved electronics. I would take apart radios, televisions, anything I could get my hands on. Not because I had to, but because I was curious. I wanted to understand how things worked, what made them tick, what made them come to life. I didn't know it then, but that curiosity would shape my entire life. It would lead me to build computers in a garage, to question everything people thought was normal about technology, to create products that weren't just machines, but tools for creativity, for expression, for changing the world. Curiosity is a powerful thing. It's what drives us forward. It's what makes us challenge the way things are and imagine the way things could be. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every revolution, it all starts with a simple question: what if? Most people lose that. As kids, we're endlessly curious. We explore, we experiment. We're not afraid to ask questions, to break things, to make mistakes. But somewhere along the way, it gets beaten out of us. We're told to follow the rules, to do things the way they've always been done, to stay in line. The problem is, the people who change the world never stay in line. They never accept the way things are just because someone told them to. They ask questions. They stay curious. They think differently. When we built the first Macintosh, we didn't start with what was possible. We started with what was necessary. We asked, what should a computer be? Not, what can a computer be? That single shift in thinking changed everything. At the time, computers were clunky, complicated, intimidating. Most people didn't even want to use them, but we believed they could be something else. They could be elegant, simple, personal. That belief led us to challenge everything. Why did computers need to use text-based commands? What if we could create something visual, intuitive, easy to use? That thinking led us to create the graphical user interface, the mouse, the entire concept of point and click. It seems obvious now, but back then it was revolutionary. We didn't do it because we were following a roadmap. We did it because we stayed curious. We refused to accept that the way things were was the way they had to be. Curiosity isn't just about asking questions. It's about being open to new ideas, new experiences, new ways of seeing the world. Some of the best ideas don't come from where you expect. They come from the things that seem unrelated. When I dropped out of college, I started taking classes that had nothing to do with my major. One of them was calligraphy. It was completely impractical. It had no obvious use, but it fascinated me, the way each letter was crafted, the spacing, the elegance of it. Years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh, that experience came back. Computers at the time used ugly, blocky text. But I remembered those calligraphy classes. I remembered the beauty of typography, and I thought, what if a computer could have beautiful fonts? That idea changed design forever. None of it would have happened if I had only focused on what was useful, if I had only studied what I was supposed to. Some of the most important things in life don't seem important at first, but they open doors. They connect dots in ways you can't see at the time. The people who do incredible things in life, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, they don't just focus on what's in front of them. They explore. They stay curious. They collect experiences, ideas, perspectives, and one day all those dots connect in ways no one else could have imagined. Think about every major breakthrough in history. It didn't come from following the rules. It came from questioning them. When the Wright brothers built the first airplane, everyone told them it was impossible. Human flight was a fantasy, a dream. But they didn't accept that. They studied birds, the way they moved, the way they controlled the air. They asked, what if we could do that? When Einstein developed the theory of relativity, he wasn't following someone else's equation. He was imagining. He was thinking beyond the limits of what was known. When we built the iPhone, people thought we were crazy. A phone with no buttons, no keyboard, it went against everything the industry believed. But we weren't thinking about what phones were. We were thinking about what they could be. This is the mindset that changes everything. The ability to stay curious, to see the world not as it is, but as it could be, to challenge assumptions, to break barriers, to think differently. But there's something else, something even more important, because curiosity alone isn't enough. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't act on them, they mean nothing. Most people have great ideas. At some point, everyone has thought of something that could change their life, their work, their future. But very few people act. They wait, they hesitate, they talk themselves out of it, they tell themselves it's not the right time, that they're not ready, that they need more experience, more resources, more certainty. But here's the secret. No one is ever ready. The stars never align perfectly. The perfect moment never comes. The people who succeed aren't the ones who wait. They're the ones who start. Even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain, even when they have no idea how it will turn out. When we built the first Apple computer, we had no idea if it would work. We were two guys in a garage with no money, no credentials, no business plan, but we didn't let that stop us. We built something, we put it out into the world, and that first step led to everything that followed. Pixar was the same way. When we started, we had no roadmap. No one had ever made a fully computer-animated film before. People told us it was impossible, that audiences wouldn't accept it, that it was a waste of time. But we believed in it. We believed in storytelling. We believed that computers could bring animation to life in a way no one had ever seen before. And because we took that risk, because we acted on that belief, we changed the entire film industry. The difference between people who do something and people who don't isn't intelligence. It isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's action. The willingness to take the first step even when it's uncertain. Most people wait for permission. They wait for someone to tell them it's okay to start. But no one is going to give you permission. If you want to build something, make something, change something, you have to give yourself permission. I've seen it time and time again. The people who create incredible things aren't necessarily the smartest. They're not necessarily the most experienced, but they are the ones who take action, who start before they're ready, who are willing to fail, to learn, to keep going. Failure is part of the process. When I got fired from Apple, it felt like the end. I had built something from nothing, and suddenly it was gone. But looking back, I realized that failure was a gift. It forced me to rethink everything, to start fresh, to rediscover my passion. If you're afraid to fail, you'll never take risks, and if you never take risks, you'll never do anything truly great. The best ideas in the world are worthless if they stay in your head. The greatest visions, the most ambitious dreams, they mean nothing if you don't act on them.